Cormac Devlin, and I too wish to thank my own constituents in Dún Laoghaire for their support in the most recent election, and I want to congratulate Teachta O'Meara on your maiden speech this afternoon. Cormac, I welcome the opportunity to speak on the government and indeed the national response to Storm Éowyn. At the outset, I wish to acknowledge the exceptional efforts of our frontline workers, including those in the ESB and Irish Water, who have helped non-stop since the storm hit Ireland on the morning of the 24th of January. I also want to acknowledge the efforts of teams from abroad, skilled technicians from Austria, Finland, France, Britain, Norway and Germany on the ground in the worst impacted areas, supporting over 2,500 local ESB national crews. Storm Éowyn was a record-breaking extratropical cyclone. To put it in context, it was one of the worst winter storms to hit Ireland since An Oíche na Gaotha, the night of the big wind in 1839, which itself was reported at the time to be the worst storm in 300 years. It has been noted by Professor John Sweeney of NUI Maynooth that the night of the big wind is considered to be the worst scenario for insurance purposes here in Ireland. While weather instruments were relatively rudimentary in 1839, it should be noted that the maximum gusts recorded from the night of the big wind were reported to be just 2 kilometres per hour more than the 183 kilometres per hour recorded at Macehead, Connemara 2 weeks ago. The aftermath of Storm Éowyn saw over 1 million households on the island lose power, 743,000 across 26 counties. This has caused great hardship for many people, particularly vulnerable households, which we've heard about this afternoon. While almost all homes, farms, schools, businesses have seen their power and water thankfully restored, a reported 25,000 homes are still without power. Elements of the national response have been very effective, but there are lessons to be learned, and I welcome the commitment today from An Taoiseach that the national regulations will be amended to ensure safety will be first at all times. Human safety will be first. We've seen how trees too close to homes, roads, power lines have caused significant damage and interruption to utilities. This is an issue impacting both urban and rural areas. Local authorities must be instructed to introduce regulations and policies that put safety first. They need to fell or prune trees where they pose a danger. Equally, we've seen a massive effort to establish 335 response hubs, emergency response hubs across 17 local authority areas, as well as local coordination groups in 16 local authority areas. However, Cormac, it's clear we need to improve our emergency preparedness ahead of the next very significant weather event. Each community across the country should have designated emergency shelters where households at risk or impacted by a natural disaster can evacuate to, such as GA halls, community centres, schools, hotels could be ideal. Future developments of these types should be supported by government to ensure they are fit for purpose for use during emergencies. These centres should be fitted out with emergency facilities and generators. The government should also establish a scheme to support key services such as GPs, clinics and pharmacies in isolated parts of the country to ensure they have sufficient generation or indeed battery backup power. We also must improve practical efforts to ensure people can access increased emergency funding more quickly. And on that, I want to thank the ministers for their support in their rapid response to the needs of people in the affected areas. And in conclusion, Cormac, I want to pay tribute to everyone involved in the response, from our frontline workers, the Gardaí, the Civil Defence and other frontline workers across Ireland, and indeed the teams from abroad, and such as the community groups of Meals on Wheels, community groups, local authority teams who've worked night and day over the past 2 weeks to alleviate the hardship caused by these terrible events. Thank
you, Deputy.